Protocols. I just love Canva confetti. Okay, here we go. So, an EduProtocol, in case you were wondering what it was, they're lesson frames. And with these lesson frames, you can pull your content into and out of it and switch content around. The reason why we want these is because the process stays the same every time. The task stays the same. So once the kids learn the task, then the focus comes off of what do I do, what do I do, what do I do, and is put back onto what am I learning. Um, so doing this is really beneficial for students. Not only does it take the focus off of you as being the person who has to be the all-knowing, giving all the content, and while the kids are kind of passively sitting and listening, they are doing. So again, it moves it from you being the sage on the stage to the guide on the side. You're truly a facilitator doing these different protocols. The students learn by doing. It makes your life easier because you just make the templates and you can put your content in and out. You may tweak some things, but your actual template for the protocol is going to stay the same. You do it in reps, so students will no longer struggle with how to do it, like I said, but with the content. So as they do more reps of the same protocol, they are going to be learning the content, and the task is going to be faded part of the background. So this comes from Field Guide 1, page 5. And I like this quote because it really kind of signifies why protocols are so important. Many trades have mastered the concept of protocols, but in education, we always lean towards two models, using the overly scripted, corporately prepared lesson plans, think Lucy Calkins, or bounce from freestanding lesson plan to lesson plan to lesson plan to lesson plan. So it offers no cohesion, no flow to students. So in this kind of classroom, they're going to be doing different tasks all the time and not having any really clue what they're supposed to be doing with these tasks. So their focus is not only on learning the content, but also what are they supposed to be doing. So it makes it harder to learn the content that way. I really like this menu option because this is kind of signifying being in a classroom with a million different lesson plan ideas, a million different tasks, and kids are not really great at any of them. The teachers are not really great at any of them. The kids are not really great at any of them. So this just shows, like, you walk into this restaurant and you see this menu, you're like, oh my gosh, that is so much food. First of all, how do you choose? How can the food all be that great if they're serving so many different options? Where do they store all of this food? And how do the chefs get really great at cooking all of these recipes? When you go to a restaurant, you would expect to go to a restaurant and sit down with maybe like 15, 20 different menu items that are going to be really great, all of them. So this is kind of signifying that idea that teachers that are sitting in these classrooms that have so many different kinds of lessons, they'll be as good as these chefs that are cooking all this food. It's going to be too many things. You're trying to learn the process. The kids are trying to learn the process. The content kind of gets lost in the process of what they're supposed to be doing. So again, they're lesson frames. It could be models, templates, frameworks, workflows. The protocols, the lesson frames stay the same. The content and the lessons change. And this kind of just shows you that whole moving around and my frame got messed up. But it's supposed to move. The frame's supposed to go from here to here to here. And I guess it got messed up. I'll try it again. See if it works. Nope. I don't know what I did with my frame. We'll figure that out later. Why EduProtocols? So EduProtocols bridges the gap between the subject matter and delivery. It focuses on the 4 C's, and this is super important because EduProtocols always combines it in some way or shape or form the 4 C's, which is students are collaborating, they're creating, they're critical thinking, and they're communicating. It doesn't necessarily have to be all 4 all the time. It could be 2 or 3, but they're in some way, shape, or form, they're focusing on these 4 C's in the protocol. Like I said, it lessens the cognitive load from the task, and it's portable for the teacher. So if you ever have to move grade levels, if you have to switch content, like you're teaching science right now and you're moving to math, or if you're an elementary school teacher and you're teaching all the things, then this EduProtocols are really great for you because you can still teach the same task. You're just switching your content in and out. So it's great. You can use them all the time. It's not something that you're going to create, maybe use for a couple of years and switch to something else. It allows for more student choice in demonstrating learning, and it's active. The kids are doing, they're doing, they're doing, they're doing, and you are feedback, feedback, feedback. So EduProtocols, like I said, works across all subjects and grade levels. And in the book, there is different ways you can modify it for littles versus AP and all different things. It makes the task learning easier. And once students master the process, you have an infinite number of lessons to educate on content. And they really do love it. So these are just some quick examples of kids using these EduProtocols in my class. This one right here was a rack and stack. That means I combined two different protocols. The first one they did was a research protocol where they crowdsourced information. Then they did a sketch and tell of what they thought was, they crowdsourced information on inventions from Mesopotamia. And then after they came up with their different inventions and legacies that they researched, they put it into a spreadsheet, or they put it into a Google form, which generated a spreadsheet that they all had access to, that they could look at the list of different inventions that the kids came up with, pick 5, and rate them 1 to 5, 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. Then they drew a picture of which one they thought was the best and which one they thought was the worst invention, the least important. Then they talked about it after they drew a picture, and they drew the picture, either they could use paper and upload a picture, or they could use autodraw.com, or they could use Google Shapes. So this is just the conversation part of them talking about the inventions they came up with.
It makes so much sense. Cities, because there are a lot of places in the city that we need, and wheel, because if we didn't have these, we wouldn't have cars, bikes, wagons, and etc.
So what's the most important out of that?
Mathematics, or math.
And then here's another example of that same thing.
Come on, Case.
I think it's wheel because, like, you use transportation every day, right? Like cars, trains, airplanes, like, it's got to be wheels on top, for sure.
Yeah.
Cut.
Okay, this one right here is a Fast and Curious protocol that they are trying to beat their accuracy rate. This is using quizzes, and the class accuracy rate shows in this little circle right here. So you can see how engaged they are as they are moving through this Fast and Curious protocol.
Come on, dude. I'm fast to make you grow up. What is this? What is it? Guys, we need to clutch up. You guys got it. Yes, clutch up, everyone. 95. What is the first? Guys, I need girls. This is activities. What is it? Yes. I don't know. Yes, you gotta repeat the question. Yo, we need to clutch up. Everyone clutch up.
So they're encouraging each other there too, making sure they get them right so their class accuracy rate gets high. And right there it was 95%, so they were doing great. This is just an example. I'm not going to play a little bit of this, but this is an example of the kids presenting their Iron Chef activity that they did. It's kind of like a jigsaw. They get together, they each do a different part, make a slideshow, and then they present it to the class.
The rivers helped them grow crops. The challenges were they got overflooded, and then they built walls to hold back water, flood waters, and learning they come from the tree.
Okay, so they're showing you they're communicating, they're collaborating, they're critical thinking. Again, here's just some pictures. We did a mold and tell instead of a sketch and tell. Here's one of my sketch and tell. I made the slideshows, and then I can just move content in and out. There was the content moving in. There was some collaboration going on there. There was some research going on. And this shows you Fast and Curious. We started with round 1, where their percentages were at, and where they finished out by round 4. So it shows you the data that they're moving up. So that is the why behind the Fast and Curious. I'm sorry, the protocols. So this is just 8-point protocol checklist. Is basically when you look at a protocol, how do you know the difference between a protocol and a lesson? So the protocols are like lessons. They have substance. They're replicable. You can repeat them over and over again with your different content. They have a defined structure and can be repeated by others. So as you go through the book, it goes through lots of different protocols. So farther on down the course, you're going to be thinking about what protocols will work for your content, what protocols will work for your students. Once that you have those, then you can create a template and you can repeat that same protocol with different content all year. They're one to one. This is the great part about EduProtocols. Every kid has a part they have to do. It's not like group work where you throw them together and you hope that, you always have this one kid that does like so much, and then another kid, a couple kids that'll sit there and help, but then one kid who like sits back and just like, I'm not doing anything. No, with EduProtocols, every kid has a part. So like the one that we're doing right now, Cyber Sandwich, we did today. The kids each have a slide for student one, student two. They have a slide they have to do together where they're compiling their information. Then they have their own paragraph writing slides they have to do. So everything is laid out for them, for each kid having to do something for this thing. Another great thing about the protocols is that the length. None of them should go over about 35 minutes, which means you can have multiple different things going on. You don't have to just do protocols. You could do an activity. You can do some kind of remediation or teaching or work where they're working independently. You can throw in a couple of different protocols and what's called smashing or rack and stack. When you're smashing protocols, you're putting two protocols together to make a new kind of activity. Rack and stack is where you're putting the protocol and combining it with another protocol right after, and they kind of flow into a whole hour lesson. They're overly connected to standards. It connects to about 10 to 25 grade level standards. This isn't fluff. This isn't some like worksheet you're giving out to keep them busy. This is stuff that is connected to lots of different grade level standards. It's the 4 C's in action. It's communication, it's collaboration, it's critical thinking, it's creativity. It's not just a boring worksheet. They are putting in brain power and time here. So it is going to be something that's going to be making the content more memorable for them. Again, it's open and able to be used across multiple subjects areas. You can use it in math. You can use it in science. You can use it in ELA. You can use it everywhere. And most importantly, I think, in number 8, it's loved by kids. It's designed for kids. It's designed for your students to tap into their own creativity. They really do like it because they get to work together. I mean, how many times do kids come and ask you, can I sit next to my friend today? Can I, do we get free time? Well, maybe it's not free time, but they get to work with, and if you set it up, this is how I set it up. They get to work with their own friends. They get to work together, and they get to do something together, and that they really do feed off of to that whole connection with each other. So they love it. As you saw in the thing, they were having fun. They like the drawing parts of the sketch and tells. They love the competition type environment with the Fast and Curious. So they really do like it. When I asked kids for feedback in my class of using it, a lot of them, I shouldn't say all of them, because some kids are just like, I hate school no matter what, But a lot of kids said they really liked doing a lot of the different EduProtocols. That was one of the things that came back pretty high in my class. So they do like these activities. All right. So that is it for this. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of background about EduProtocols, and you can